Welcome back to A Plus Parents, everyone. With me today is one of our students. I love when we get to do this so that we have a chance to talk to our students. So you're hearing from adults in the homeschool world and what they're up to and how they're supporting homeschoolers. But it's so great to always hear from the homeschoolers themselves, kind of hear what they're up to, what they're doing, and what they're interested in and where they're headed, right? And with me today is Cornelius Costley. Cornelius, did I say your last name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Awesome. Cornelius lives in Florida, and I was telling him before we started to record, he and I have something in common, that he was born in Pennsylvania. So was I. He moved to Florida. Now, he was 3 when he moved to Florida, and I was 6 when I moved to Florida. And then I lived in Florida until, let's see, about 8 years ago. So yeah, so I was in Florida for a super long time. In fact, Cornelius, I didn't get to tell you this, right? So when it was so long ago, right, that because I'm older, right? I say, well, I'm kind of just old now, but just think of this, right? So you've been to Disney World and you've probably been on Space Mountain before, right?
Mhm.
So I was one of the first people ever to ride Space Mountain. So I was there the week it opened. And
Wow.
yeah, we were with our church youth group and we were camping and we were all like, oh my gosh, we were so excited because we knew Space Mountain was getting there. And so we went over. Have you ever been in the campground? Was it Frontierland? I think it's called, not Frontierland. I forget that, but there's a campground there, right?
Yeah, I know where it is. I forgot what it's called though.
And so we would ride that big steamboat and we'd get on the steamboat, it'd pick us up and we'd get at the gate before, we'd be like one of the first ones in the park. It was so much fun to run through there when we were the first ones in. But yeah, I was one of the first ones to ride on Space Mountain. So it was super fun. Okay, so let's look and see. So here you are, you're 15, you're in Florida, you're doing our Algebra 1 class, and you get to work with the amazing Mrs. B, which is super cool. And you're interested, this is really great, being 15, and you already know, like in your future, that you want to be an electrician, in your future, right? So given that, and let's tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell us a little more, like what are you into, what are you up to, and how'd you get interested in wanting to be an electrician?
Yeah, so I think it was really just like 2-ish years ago, but my mom used to buy these things called like Kiwi crates, I think they were called. And inside that, there would always be like this electrical part to it. And my sister would never want to do it. So I would always do it instead. And it was just like really, really fun for me. And I don't even know why, but like as I've gotten older, I've liked it more and more. And then I found out like about electricians and I thought, hey, that might be a cool job for me.
It's a really great job. And here's what's great about, when you're, getting trained in a field like that, first of all, they get paid really, really well. And as long as we're using electricity, you're always going to have a job, right? So that's going to be, you're going to be an in-demand kind of person, Cornelius. So that's really, really cool. So here you are, and have you been homeschooled like always, or did you ever?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you've been homeschooled your whole time. And, one of the things we find out oftentimes about young people being homeschooled is that you notice that you have time to do other things like hobbies. So what kind of hobbies are you into?
Yeah, so let's see, I like to cook, I like to bake, I like to read, and I also like playing outside with my sister.
Oh, that's awesome. Now you're also a basketball player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Gosh, so you got lots of stuff going on. That's so cool. So you bake, cook, you read, and is your sister younger or older than you?
She's 3 years younger.
Oh, that's so great. Sometimes big brothers, they kind of get, especially when they get to be teenagers, they're like, they don't have time for their little sisters, but you do. So that's super cool. Very good. Okay. So, you take all these different homeschool classes, you're getting interested in being an electrician, right? What are your favorite subjects? What do you really enjoy in your schooling right now?
I'd say my favorite subject is probably biology at the moment. I really like science. So
That's awesome. The biology was not my favorite. So I'm going to go on record and say that, right? There was a whole thing about cutting things open and I was like, oh, there was this, it wasn't my thing, right? What do you like about biology? What makes it your favorite subject?
well, I'm not sure if it's like, I mean, by biology, I kind of like my science in general, but I think my favorite for science was probably like learning about atoms. So that was really fun.
Oh, that's very cool. Nice. That's awesome. So I think I might have get more interested in marine biology, but I never had the chance to take that when I was in school because I like being around the water and near the ocean. That would have been kind of cool. But yeah, the idea of like atoms and how atoms work and, it's like what happens when you split them open and what do you see? And, like the building blocks that we have. And so it's interesting to find out more about that. So that's super cool. All right. So that you're a basketball guy, right? So is that your only sport, or do you like other sports too?
I used to play volleyball and I like swimming a lot as well.
Awesome. Okay. So basketball is your number one thing. So why is that why is that your favorite sport right now?
I think it's just like the teamwork in it that makes it fun.
Oh, that's awesome. When do you get to play?
I usually play on Mondays around like 7 to 8, I think.
Okay. Awesome. And do you have that same group of guys? Is it like, do you guys same group of people? Guys, girls, but do you have the same group of people that you play with each week?
Mostly. I mean, sometimes some of the kids don't come, but mostly it's the same people.
Okay, good. And how do you meet up with them?
Uh, it's through my uh it's through my church group that I have on Mondays.
Awesome. Oh, very good. Well, that's awesome. Oftentimes, we talk, sometimes people like when people are like they're homeschooled, right? And you're like, how do you get to socialize and how do you get to do those things? Well, you found a way. One is through your church youth group. So super cool. Okay, so let's look. So here you are. You've been homeschooled the whole time. You're 15 now. You can see your future and you're kind of looking towards being an electrician. And you can see what's happening there. What do you think that homeschooling has made possible for you that may not have been possible if you ended up having to go to a private or to a public school?
So I think probably the biggest thing is I get like more vacation time probably.
That is
And
right.
yeah, and then the second thing would be like it's allowed me to probably go into different subjects in school in more depth than I would be able to in public school.
That's very cool. So, it's kind of funny, right? So have you ever noticed, and maybe your mom might even think about this, right? So here you are, like for you being homeschooled, like you get to go on more vacations, but how many times have you noticed when you were on vacation that there was something that you got to do while you're on vacation, but you got to use it for part of your homeschooling? Did you ever have that happen?
Yeah, that's actually like every time we go on vacation, there's always a learning experience that my mom builds into it.
Isn't that great? So you're on vacation, but you're still in school at the same time. So that's amazing. And definitely that's something that homeschooling makes available for you and for so many of our families that they wouldn't be able to do if they were in a public or private school because they've got to be at school. But you get to be out. You want to find out more about different things. You actually go there and you see it. You could be on vacation and travel different places. So that's really, really awesome. All right. So we know that you're thinking about being an electrician. Have you kind of looked to see what's that going to take for you to become an electrician? Like, do you know where you might want to go to school and how long it's going to take you? What are you seeing there so far?
I haven't looked into it like a lot right now because like I'm focusing on like getting better at like math and science because I know that I think those are like the two main subjects that you need to get into it.
That's for sure. Very cool. Well, and being in the Orlando area in Florida, there's some great schools around you too. So that's really great. Cool. Okay, so let's say here you are, and you've been homeschooled your whole time that you've been school age, where you could be in school, and you have a friend, maybe a friend from your youth group that isn't homeschooled, but they're attending public school, or a young person you meet along the way, and they are asking you to say, "Wow, you did the homeschool thing." So what advice would you give to somebody that's thinking about becoming being a homeschooler? What would you tell them?
So I definitely know that like on the parents' part, it's much more of like a sacrifice because you have to pay for it. But for the students, I would say there's definitely like more flexibility with your schedule. And like I said, like it provides more time for you to go into depth for the subjects that you're learning.
Oh, that's really great. Man, you get the extra vacations that are really school time on top of all that too, which is great. Yeah, and it's great because it's true. When families decide to homeschool, oftentimes young people, and you noticed it. So I just really want to acknowledge you for that because you noticed it. It's like it takes something for moms and dads. There's some things they've gotta sacrifice some things that maybe they were thinking about doing instead. But at the end of the day, for them, the most important thing for anybody, and me myself as a parent as well, the most important thing for us is that our children are able to to have the best lives possible. And homeschooling makes that possible. And so sometimes there's things we have to sacrifice to be able to do that. But you recognize that, and you can see that mom and dad, there were some sacrifices they had to make, but at the same time, some of the benefits they get is they get to be around you and your sister all day long, which is really awesome. A lot more opportunities to do family things together. So that's really cool. So if you were going to be able to thank your parents for allowing you to be homeschooled, what would you thank them for?
I would say probably like one of the things that I thank my moms for sometimes is like taking us to different places to learn when we're like on vacation. Like the last vacation we just had, we went to a lot of museums and it was really cool to see all the stuff that they had there.
Nice. When's the last time you got to thank her for doing that?
That's a good question.
Oh, it is. Ooh, okay. Well, then, because when you get to there and you're like, I'm not really sure. You know what that gives me is that gives me the opportunity to ask you if you wouldn't mind doing a little homework assignment. Okay. You want to know what the homework assignment is? The homework assignment is thank your mom for what it is that she's given to you in your life to allow you to be homeschooling. Tell her thank you and give her a big hug. How's that?
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay, that's good. Well, Cornelius, here's what I'd like to do. What we want to do is let's keep track of what you're up to and kind of follow you along your way to becoming an electrician and see what's happening there and how that's all going. And we'll come back again and come back next year and kind of check it all out again and see how things are going. Does it sound okay to you?
Mhm.
Well, that would be awesome. Well, Cornelius, thanks for making your day work. And by the way, is this the first time you've ever done anything like this, to be on a podcast?
Yes, it is.
It is good. How was it for you?
It was pretty fun.
Yeah. This is what we do, right? We get on, we get to talk about things, stuff you're interested in. So super cool. Well, we'll get back together again and we'll check and see how things are going for you. So thank you for making your day work to be here, and everybody tuning in today to A+ Parents. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.